Welcome to the AI for You Cafe for live presentations around AI. Today, our highlight, you see already in the cafe, is our speaker, Georg Rehm. Hello. The principal researcher in the Speech and Language Technology Lab at the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, DFKI in Berlin, Germany, with this talk on European Language Grid, the European cloud platform for language technology, natural language processing, and language-centric AI. My name is Carmen McWilliams, and I'm the moderator and organizer, the director of the company Grassroots Arts in Cologne, Germany, and partner in the current European AI for EU project. So as always, I read you the little rules here. Please take notice that the session will be recorded. No confidential information shall be shared in this cafe session. In this cafe, the speaker expresses his personal view and opinion. This is not necessarily the official AI for You project opinion. And if you wonder what this cafe is about, it's an online forum to gain insight into the European AI scene, and all the participants get the chance to share knowledge and experiences and meet stakeholders from the various areas of AI research and application. So welcome everybody, great you're here. And as you know, it's interactive. We need you, everybody. So if you have a question during the presentation, please write it down. On the right side is a menu. Write your question down, and I try to read it then to the speaker after his presentation, and hopefully he may answer. And in this way it becomes interactive, and I really need your great questions. It lives of this Q&A session at the end, so feel free to write what you wonder about. Okay, now I see everybody coming in. Great. Hello, everybody. I introduce now our speaker. Georg Rehm works as a principal researcher in the Speech and Language Technology Lab at the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, DFKI, in Berlin. He's the General Secretary of MetaNet, an EU EC-funded network of excellence dedicated to building the technological foundation of a multilingual European information society. Georg Rehm is the coordinator of the EU-funded project Europe Language Grid, ELG in short, since 2019, and the BMBF-funded project Curator. It's about curation technologies. Furthermore, he's the coordinator of the EU project European Language Equality, in short ELE, and active in the EU project LINKS, building the legal knowledge graph for smart compliance services in multilingual Europe. In the EU project Human AI Net, in the BMWI funded project Speaker, and a number of other projects. Wow, you're completely busy. Georg Rehm was awarded the honorary appointment as a DFKI Research Fellow for outstanding scientific achievements and special accomplishments in technology transfer. And as background, Georg Rehm holds an MA in Computational Linguistics and Artificial Intelligence, Linguistics and Computer Science from the University of Osnabrück, and a PhD in Computational Linguistics from the University of Gießen. So I must say impressive, and he has authored, co-authored and edited more than 200 research publications. So now we're coming to you, to our highlights. Welcome in the cafe, Georg. Thank you that you are here, and I think we are all looking forward for your presentation. I make you now the moderator, so you may show your presentation. Yeah, I see it. Great. I see it. Everything is well. And you also may introduce it. I'm now leaning back. And if you need me, I'm here.
Great. Thanks so much, Carmen. And hi, everybody, to this presentation. Yeah, way too many projects, right? Way too many projects. And so little time in a day. So welcome to the presentation. Today I'm talking about the European Language Grid project and also about just 1 or 2 slides about European language equality, which I have the honor to co-coordinate. So ELG, what is it all about? It's the European Cloud Platform for Language Technology, Natural Language Processing and Language-Centric AI. There's a lot to unpack here. So just as an overview, I usually have lots and lots of material in my presentations. This is the broad overview. First, a couple of slides on the history and the context of the ELG project, of the European Language Grid initiative, on the objectives, the consortium, the architecture. I have a brief demo prepared, what you can do with ELG, current state of play. We are working on a Python SDK and on platform interoperability, especially also with AI for EU. I will give a brief overview of our community, the different stakeholders we collaborate with, our open calls, and the sustainability model that we're working on. And then, as I said, on the European Language Equality project, which is our most recent and also very important activity. So, in terms of history and context, let's start here. Our point of departure is multilingualism. Multilingualism in Europe. You all know that multilingualism is at the heart of the European idea. There is not this one marked language which we are all forced to speak, because all our official EU languages, all 24 of them, they all have the same status, theoretically. Yeah, on a political level, they are all equal. In addition to the 24 official languages, we have the dozens of co-official, regional, and minority languages, and also languages of immigrants, trade partners, tourists, and many, many more. This multilingual setup, of course, creates a couple of challenges, and these are economic, social, and also technical. The digital single market, which is one of the flagship projects of the European Commission, needs to be multilingual. Otherwise, it's not going to be a digital single market. It's going to be a digital multiple language silo markets. The multilingual setup also creates a couple of challenges with regard to cross-border, cross-lingual, cross-cultural communication. And a more language technology internal thing is a stark fragmentation of the language technology market and landscape, which is very severe and which is holding back the potential that we have in Europe in this space. More on this in a minute. So the term language technology encompasses and includes essentially everything that many of you probably know under the umbrella terms NLP or NLU, natural language processing, natural language understanding. But it's also a bit more. It's applications, it's productive or tools that are used in productive environments. Some of the applications that include language technology are listed here on the right-hand side of the slide. So spell checking, grammar checking are the obvious candidates, web search, social media analytics, voice control, text and social media analytics, machine translation, conversational agents, speech synthesis, and many, many other topics. The roots of LT, NLP, NLU are in artificial intelligence, in computer science, in computational linguistics, but also in cognitive science and psycholinguistics. And we often use the term language technology for all of this. Yeah, so it's about processing and generation of both written and spoken language in various, let's say, use cases. And we can also call it language-centric AI because nowadays many of these applications are developed using AI tools, AI applications, AI development frameworks. We've been working on this topic now for about 10 years, a bit more actually. Started in 2010 with MetaNet and various side projects. We very quickly realized as MetaNet that we need to do something in order to develop the technological foundations of this multilingual European information society. So we wanted to bring in the technology aspect and suggest to use technologies, language technologies, to somehow improve the multilingual setup and realize the multilingual setup that we have in Europe, using a number of instruments. Among others, we developed a resource sharing infrastructure called MetaShare. We developed a conference series, MetaForum, which has been going on now since 2010. We worked on strategic documents like the blue book that you can see in the top left corner, the Strategic Research Agenda for Multilingual Europe 2020, published in 2013, and it was referring to the situation last year. Hard to believe, but that's the way it is. And many things are still left to be worked on, at least regarding our visions back then. Yeah, and all this work culminated then in ELG, our most recent larger project, which started in January 2019, and also European Language Equality, its sister project, which started 8 weeks ago. One of the activities that we did in MetaNet, which was very well received, we researched with about 230 colleagues from all over Europe the technology support for Europe's languages. So we had to make a selection. We selected these languages here, which the list covers all European official EU member state languages, plus a few others, like, let's say, Basque and Catalan, Welsh and Serbian, because these are spoken by many, many people, and we wanted to include them in this overview. So we did the groundwork and lots of empirical work. We had many, many meetings to discuss the final selection. What we did is we did the research regarding the placement of all the languages in 4 different categories, being from top to bottom: machine translation, text analytics, speech technologies, and language resources. And then we decided for each language where they belong, from excellent support to weak or no support through language technologies. No language for excellent support. This would mean something like human level competence, which we don't have right now. We have good support for English, moderate support for a small number of languages. And then there's a long tail following of many, many languages with either fragmentary support or weak or no support. Graphically, it looks like this. So we have English with good support and now broken down into just one bar per language here, one category per language. And then we have many languages with little or no MT support, for example, or technology support as such. We did this back in 2012, so the situation has changed all in all. It has improved, definitely, in the meantime, thanks to neural technologies and all the different breakthroughs in this area. However, the bigger picture appears to be mostly the same. Yeah, it appears to remain mostly the same, which is an issue. Yeah, so look at this graph and then think about, yeah, the multilingual situation that we have in Europe, where each language should ideally be technologically supported in the same way. This is not the case right now. That's still the current state of play. Back then, this created quite a bit of attention in various stakeholders. We went out and then created the brief summary of this activity and these reports here. By the way, these are 31 books with about 100 pages each, so about 3,000 pages, 10 kilos if you want to measure it in as a weight. And breaking this down into just one slogan or one headline, one motto is difficult, and our suggestion was at least 21 European languages in danger of digital extinction. This did the trick, it turns out. We went out on the European Day of Languages in September 2012, and this created huge global interest in the overall topic and our key findings, and we were very, very happy about this. We had more than 600 mentions in the press, and then we stopped counting because it was just too much. We had news coming in from more than 40 countries in more than 35 different languages. We had television reports and radio interviews, and that was all very, very good, and it even created attention in the European Parliament, and this was one of our main goals, obviously. What happened then? There were a couple of years with, little less activity all in all. And then in 2017, there was a workshop in the European Parliament organized by the STOA group, that's the Science and Technology Options Assessment Team. And they wanted to talk about this topic again. And this report that you can also see on the slide, you can download it from the Parliament website, already mentioned this key topic of language equality or digital language equality in the digital age, which is still something that is interesting to the European politicians and administrators. And the report that was commissioned, colleagues from Spain worked on this mostly, made a couple of recommendations and research policies, industry policies. That report suggested creating a platform of data and services to bridge the technology gap between Europe's languages, which was a very, very good recommendation, of course, and to foster and support the development of investment instruments, increase the availability of personnel, and some other important recommendations. And based on this report, then an official document, an official resolution went through the Parliament in September 2018. This was and still is one of the most important political documents for our field, called Language Equality in the Digital Age. Landslide vote, everybody was very much in favor, 492 yes votes, to create such a European language technology platform to enable and empower European SMEs to use technologies, language technologies, for their specific purposes and use cases, and many, many other recommendations. And lots of what I'm talking about today directly reflects this European Parliament resolution. Obviously, this dovetails nicely now into the European Language Grid project, which has a couple of key objectives. You can see a kickoff meeting, a photo of the kickoff meeting here, back when we could still have face-to-face meetings in the same room. It looks almost a bit surreal seeing this, but I just want to tell these people, wear a mask. But yeah, it wasn't necessary back then. So the main objectives of the ELG project, key objective is to establish this platform, this European Language Grid cloud platform, as the primary language technology platform and marketplace in Europe to tackle the fragmentation of the European landscape. And as I said, more on this in a few minutes. We want ELG to become and to be a platform for commercial and non-commercial industry-related language technologies, both functional and non-functional, meaning both running tools like part-of-speech taggers or, I don't know, named entity recognition, non-functional meaning data sets, corpora, and so on. We want to enable the European LT community, so that community that develops and creates these technologies, to upload their services, their tools, their technologies and data sets into the cloud platform, to deploy them from the platform and to connect with others, and to enable businesses to grow and to unleash enormous potential for innovation. We are doing this in a consortium of 9 partners, from left to right, DFKI as coordinator, ILSP in Athens, Greece, University of Sheffield in the UK, Charles University in the Czech Republic, ELDA in Paris, France, Tilde in Riga, Latvia, Sail Labs Technology, now known as Hensoldt Analytics in Vienna, Austria, Expert System. This is Expert System, the team in Spain, not in Italy, where they also have a group or various groups, and the University of Edinburgh. And we are all connected to a large number of relevant initiatives and networks. And as you can imagine, some of them are missing, of course, from this slide. We can't mention all of them. This is the project timeline. As I said, we started in January 2019. We are now just on the right-hand side of month 24, in February, March already 2021. We are about to release the second incarnation of the platform. Just finished up the second open call and created the next batches of services, tools, components, and data sets, and the project is running on full steam. And I will explain all of this in the next 10-15 minutes in a bit more detail. Most importantly, we extended the project due to COVID-19 by 6 months. That's why I added this little bit at the right-hand side. The project will finish in June next year. And by then we will also have established a legal entity for the European language grid to take over maintenance and operation of the platform by then. This is pretty much as technical as it gets in this talk. So the typical architecture diagram, the ELG system and platform runs on Kubernetes, managed Kubernetes installation here at a cloud provider in Berlin. It's all based on Docker images, so everything is a Docker image in the system. The system itself is a set of Docker images, obviously, but also and especially the different LT services that we make available through the ELG are all individual Docker services and Docker containers that can be run and called both from the website, but also using APIs and through our Python client. And in the next slide, I have a video that will show some of what it looks like. We are, don't know if you can see my mouse pointer, probably not. But here at the top, we have various ways of using the ELG, various user interfaces like the catalog UI, which is the web interface, an admin UI, which I'm not showing today. We have a provider UI so that companies or research groups that want to make available language technologies can do that using the web interface. And we try to make everything as useful and as usable as possible. So this is the video, and now you should be able to see it. Yes, so let me just talk over the video. You can also watch it on YouTube if you're interested, and you can pause if you want to. I will just now do a little scroll through. So this is the main interface of ELG. You can go into the different, let's say, categories here, language technologies or language data sets, or you can also click this pink button and explore the whole catalog. As you can see, almost 4,000 entries in the catalog. You can explore and search by language. You can check the different service functions like machine translation or named entity recognition. You can filter by type of resource, and here we are now looking at corpora for the German language. And this is now a German data set for named entity recognition with a bit of explanation and comments. And this one is even hosted on ELG. So if you're interested in this data set, you can download it from ELG right away. If the license, in this case, the license is okay. Sometimes a license agreement needs to be signed. Right now, we're looking at functional services, so running tools here for sentiment analysis from our project partner Expert System. And we include a bit of text here. We can click the button, and then the text is analyzed through the service, which runs on the ELG cloud platform. And you can see code snippets, how to use this in your own code using curl, for example. This is a named entity recognizer. We had sentiment analysis before. This is now a French entity recognizer. We can submit a little bit of example text. We get some annotated entities, Charles de Gaulle, and so on. And you can explore the annotations. You can highlight and de-highlight different annotations. This is now a machine translation example with a bit of text on the previous US president, which is translated from English into German. And again, this service runs also as a Docker container in the ELG cloud platform. And I think this is the last example. That's a dependency parser that is developed by our colleagues in Prague. And the dependency parser provides its own visualization of the dependency tree that is being generated by the parser and exposed to the user in this interactive interface. What we can also offer you is a Python SDK, and on the way, it's all still evolving and all still in progress. So here in this video, we show how we can use ELG services from the command line. The same is happening, of course, and supported through the Python SDK, yeah, which simplifies all of this using Python. Yeah. So you can pip install ELG and then use everything through the Python SDK. So I think I will skip the rest and then go to the next slide, because I think that was enough for now. So what can we actually do, or what can you do with the European language grid, or the target users that we want to address with the project and with the platform? Most of this is just repetition, I think, from what I already mentioned. Data consumers, yeah, so people interested in data, PhD students, master students, maybe companies who want to develop something. They can search and browse the ELG catalog for different types of data, or language processing services, or projects and organizations. Maybe they want to collaborate with someone, or they want to hire a company. They can find them through ELG. They can download data depending on the access conditions. Service consumers can try out and test the language processing services. They can call a service from the command line, from Python, integrated into their own workflows. And we have API support for machine translation, information extraction, speech recognition, text-to-speech, and text classification, which subsumes a number of different tasks. We have data and service consumers using, can use the Python SDK. Data providers and language technology providers, they can upload what they have, yeah, in terms of data sets, in terms of services. They can upload this, make it available through ELG, and describe everything using a rich, semantically rich metadata scheme, so that it is findable and discoverable in ELG through the web interface. Current state of play, we are now looking at ELG release 2 already, which will be published at the end of the month. Published is a bit rich. It's actually being published already now, because the current live system will be the release 2, and it is enriched and made more interesting as we speak. Yeah, we are uploading and making available new data sets every day. So right now we have many different data sets and services. Specifically, this slide is about the services for text analytics, many for English, for German, for French, for Greek, but also for some of the other, let's say, native ELG languages, and also speech recognition and text-to-speech. And this will be enriched, further enriched with release 2 as we speak, as I said. And we also expect the first services and datasets coming in from the ELG pilot projects very soon. What are these, you may ask? I will explain that in a few minutes. Right, and as I said, this is about services here, this slide. We also have about 2,000 data sets and corpora in the system right now, but I'm not talking about them in this presentation today. The Python SDK was already mentioned. It's also an emerging activity, which is very interesting to many users. So people respond to this, and we are very happy about this. There's a public repo on GitLab. The URL is here. You can check it out if you're interested. Right now, the SDK supports searching the ELG catalog, getting information about entities, meaning about entities in the catalog, not named entities. So getting information about data sets and organizations and so on. You can download resources easily and also call the ELG functional services easily. And we are also working on benchmarking different services on the same output. Coming up, a couple of things. The list is long of features that we are working on. One of the most important ones is contributing resources or services to ELG using Python. Yeah, so uploading, making available resources in a more or less automated deployment process, which is a bit tricky, but we think it's doable, and hopefully it will be made available very soon. This is an example snippet here. where we are calling a machine translation service from Polish to English, and essentially it's just one line of code, yeah, or two, maybe it's 2 lines of code. Yeah, you call the service with a specific ID. This one here has the ID 4800. You put some Polish text in, and you get the English translation out, and it's as easy as that. We are also working, given that this is the AI for EU Cafe, we are collaborating intensely and closely with the AI for EU team, especially with Joachim Köhler at Fraunhofer IAES and his group. We wrote a paper a while ago for a workshop that we organized on language technology platforms, and especially on interoperability. We are not only working on this, but also on other topics. I just mentioned this example here on the slide because I think it's very important for the European landscape in this area. So many platforms are being developed, so many different domain-specific, domain-independent AI and LT platforms that we really need to think about and implement platform interoperability. We, in this paper that we wrote together with Joachim and his team and other project colleagues from other projects, we devised these 5 levels of platform interoperability. And in a master thesis that we are collaborating on with AI for EU and projects like Speaker and Curator and others, we devised this approach here where people can upload a container with a service to ELG, and the idea is then automatically to create something like a proxy container that is being automatically described with a bit of meta information and then ingested into AI for EU so that it's available in AI for EU experiments and can be used from there, but not by duplicating the container itself, but just by calling the respective container on the ELG platform. Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of experiments in this space to interconnect the 2 platforms because we think it's very, very important to do that and not to have these isolated platform silos that would help no one. Yeah, we need to make sure that these platforms talk to each other and can exchange information and data sets and metadata and services. So our main stakeholders and target users, I think I mentioned a number of times. So companies that develop language technologies or integrate language technologies or purchase language technologies, and also universities and research centers that develop or use these technologies, and also public administrations, other organizations, funding agencies. And here you can see yet another photo back when we could still have face-to-face meetings in the same room. Those were the days. I mentioned the fragmentation of the European landscape. I just want to illustrate here what I mean by that. What we have recently done is we did lots and lots of desk research, and we tried to compile a comprehensive list of all European companies that work on language technologies. And we ended up with a list of about 900 companies. We included them, we made them available in ELG. So now in ELG, we have a list of these 900 companies, and each company has its own page, which they can claim. Yeah, they can go to ELG and say, like in Google Maps, where the owner of a shop can say, oh, that's my shop, and I want to claim that page. The same principle applies here, and many have already done that. And here you can see the fragmentation and also the size. Yeah, so we have over 100 companies working on this in Germany, according to our desk research. I'm pretty certain there are at least 75 to 100 more that we don't know of yet. Many startups in the Netherlands. There are many companies in Spain, France, in the UK, in Belgium and Italy, and so on. And we want to bring all of these together under the same umbrella platform, including representation of their products, their services, and so on. And this is something that we are working on right now. We are doing the same exercise for the research organizations, which is a bit more complicated just by when you look at describing the different levels of organizational structure. Sometimes it's a department, sometimes it's just one person, sometimes it's an institute, sometimes a group, So, but we got this sorted now and are working on the lists, and we will make them available soon. In addition to what I just said, the different stakeholders and users and collaborators, it's quite a bunch, and this is only just a selection on the slide. So we have the ELG pilot projects that we support and financially bootstrap as ELG with about 2 million euros. List is coming up. We collaborate with ICT 29B research projects, of course, also with the ICT 48 projects like Humane AINet, Taylor, and others, with the ELE project, with AI for EU, with other relevant European projects, and our core networks, MetaNet and LT Innovate, the European LT Business Association. We established a network because as you have seen, the ELG consortium is nine partners only, and we need to have broader reach. We need to cover all of Europe. And for this, we established a network of 32 national competence centers in ELG, with many colleagues who have already participated in MetaNet and other projects that we've done. Again, another face-to-face meeting photo here from October 2019 in Brussels. So the main goal is to support the mission of the ELG project, and this is also working very, very nicely. And we collaborate also with many of them in the ELE project. I want to spend a few words on our conference series, Meta Forum, which we started as MetaNet in 2010, almost on an annual basis. We had a couple of years with no Meta Forum. This was the last face-to-face one in Brussels. The documentation is all available online. If you're interested, the most recent one was in December last year, already virtual, Meta Forum 2020, piloting the European language grid with approximately 350 participants. We showed the first demo of release 2 and had many interesting panel discussions and presentations and so on. And I'm saying this because if you're now interested and curious to learn more about ELG and what we're doing, everything has been recorded and put on the ELG YouTube channel. When I made the screenshot here, it had 5 subscribers, so it was just brand new. I hope it has more than 5 by now, and maybe some of you can make sure that you subscribe if you're interested. So everything is online. Lots and lots of hours of content on ELG and related activities. So I mentioned the ELG Open Calls. We had 2 open calls last year in March and April, the first one, and then in October, November, the second one. The idea of this was to finance projects that are interested in either broadening the ELG service or dataset portfolio, or that wanted to demonstrate the usefulness of ELG. We set out the parameters, about 200K per project max, 2 million in total. In the first open call, we received 110 proposals. We were super excited about this outcome, with the majority of SME proposals. That was nice, and also the majority of proposals for type A, so broadening the portfolio. And the second open call, similar numbers, very, very similar, 106 proposals evaluated. And in open call 1, we selected 10 projects, and in the second one, 5. I put them here on the slide. So it's a very interesting mix from, and we're not going through all of them. FBK in Italy is producing a European clinical case corpus. Linksoft is distributing their language technologies as containers. We have a linked data project from Corion, Basque Interactive Smart Speaker. We have also now in the second batch of projects, we have some projects on sign languages, which are, of course, an inherent part of Europe's multilingualism, and many other projects that we are all very excited about and that are making great progress. Everything these projects do will be ingested and made available through ELG. What does that mean? Here's an example. Carmen mentioned curator at the beginning, and I'm mentioning the project only now because of the what is ELG supposed to do with other projects, or what can ELG offer to other projects? Curator is one of these projects. It's very Berlin focused, with 10 partners in Berlin or from Berlin working on curation technologies, and all projects in Europe can of course make use of this offer and opportunity. We are integrating curator and the curator outputs into the ELG platform, making that available through ELG. So there's a page for curator in the catalog. All curator partners have their own pages in the catalog, of course, too. And all of the services and data sets that we are creating in the runtime of this project will also be made available through ELG. So here, this is what it looks like. On the left, you can see the page for curator. In the middle, then you can see the related entities. So the outcome, this is still very fresh, this screenshot. So only 2 resources or 2 services on named entity recognition for German and English. And then you can click on the bird near German and get named entity recognizer based on bird for the German language. Yeah, and in this way we can, this is just an example, we can make available all sorts of services and data sets for all sorts of projects, both nationally funded and European funded. And I hope this is something that people are very interested in, and this hope is justified, I'm happy to report, because many projects approach us, many people approach us, companies, research groups, and say, hey, we want to make our things available through ELG. And this traction is already coming more and more. The snowball effect is hopefully here very soon. So important bit is the sustainability model, or the sustainable operational model, and the legal entity. Just one slide so that you are aware of this. Of course, ELG will not be switched off on the last day of the project, but we will establish a legal entity early next year. And now we are working on the details to maintain ELG and to extend ELG. So there are, of course, lots of technical and operational requirements that create non-trivial costs, hosting, bandwidth, the team itself. Probably the most important part, the team, the passionate team that is working on this. And we've identified several ways and approaches of covering these costs on a long-term basis. And we will most likely go for a not-for-profit company that we will establish. We have a rough concept prepared as a business model canvas, and everything will hopefully then start in a soft way early next year. So this is also, of course, eating up a lot of our time. That was a brief overview of European Language Grid, and I'm already approaching the 40-minute mark. So let me make it brief and quick for wrapping up. 1 or 2 slides on European Language Equality, which is a sister project to ELG. It's a slightly larger consortium, 53 partners from all over Europe, coordinated by Dublin City University. Andy Way is the coordinator at DCU, or the ADAPT Center, DFKI as the co-coordinator, and then Charles University, ILSP, and the University of the Basque Country as the 5 core partners in the project. And then we have 48 other partners working on various other things. And here we can only scratch the surface. The main objective of this project is not technology development or research, it's strategic. ELE is developing a strategic research, innovation, and deployment agenda to achieve digital language equality in Europe by 2030. It's a short project, only 18 months. We have many things to write, actually. So we have many deliverables that all contribute to this final outcome of the project, which is the strategic research, innovation, and deployment agenda. So the different partners in the project, based on their specific languages, they do updates of the Metanate white papers in a shorter and more focused form, also in a more empirical form. So we do data collection, going to, the ambition is nothing less than attempting to provide complete inventories of all available language resources and services and tools and datasets and corpora and grammars for all languages that we work on in this project. And that's about 30 core languages plus about 40 additional languages. And we want to get a complete picture of the technology support for these languages so that we can then build these comparison tables that I showed at the beginning, the MetaNet white paper tables, in a dynamic way using ELG. Yeah, so that's one of the main ideas. Based on this, we can pinpoint which areas and which languages are fairly well covered, and also where the gaps are. So where do we need to invest to fill all these different gaps to have the same and equal technology support. So this is everything. Everything is focused on this strategic research agenda and roadmap development with this huge consortium of 53 partners. We will have many consultation events and roundtables and stakeholder meetings, and also contributions are foreseen, of course, from all the different networks and partners. And Claire is in the project. AI for EU as such is not in the project, but Thales, when we talked about this, promised to provide input as AI for EU, and I'm pretty sure that this will happen in one way or another. There's of course a close collaboration with ELG and an intended overlap between the two consortia and MetaNet and ELRC and all the different other activities that we've done in the last 10 years. The goal is of course to firmly establish language technology and NLP as important topics of priority in Horizon Europe and in Digital Europe. And if you come across one of our surveys or one of our stakeholder events in the not too distant future, please participate. Yeah, this is very important. We feel very passionate about these topics, and we would love to hear what you think and take on board your opinion on this. And if all goes according to plan, next year in Brussels, we will have a big joint event and conference in June 2022. And I hope the vaccination deployment against COVID-19 has concluded by then. Speaking about concluded, let me conclude the presentation just as a brief summary. We want to establish ELG, the European Language Grid, as the primary platform and marketplace for LT in Europe. This is an initiative from the European LT community for the European LT community, including language-centric AI. This landscape in Europe is very fragmented. Yeah, we as ELG aim to provide just the right umbrella platform for this highly fragmented community to bring it together. The global market size, I haven't talked about this. This market size, it's enormous. There are some studies that say or that predict the market size, the global market size in the area of about $30 billion by 2025. And we want Europe to be a key player in this market, which is rather attractive, as you probably agree. We want to increase the visibility and reach of all members of the European LT community. We have a tight collaboration between ELG and AI for EU on interoperability, other topics, but also with projects like Humane AI Net and various others. We will establish a legal entity, contribute to digital language equality in Europe. And our next steps are the big 2 releases of the ELG platform. Release 2 is following this month, and then about a year later, release 3, we have the legal entity in between and the ELE project as well. If you're interested further about in the ELG development, we have various papers on this, and I wanted to take the opportunity to briefly pitch an upcoming call for the LRE journal, Language Resources and Evaluation Journal. We are editing a special issue on language technology and NLP platforms and AI platforms, of course, included too. So if you're interested, I can send you the call. I will publish it probably later today or tomorrow. We are also working on 2 books with the main outputs of the 2 projects. I'd like to give a big shout out to the 2 project consortia and the teams working in the projects doing excellent work, and thanks very much for your attention. And now we have a few minutes left for questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Georg. super exciting. I will jump to the audience questions because they're piling up here. So this was super exciting, and I let now the question of, I start with James Crowley, and the question is, would it be possible to use ELG translation tools within a pipeline composed with Akumus? Akumus is used also in AI for you, if you're...
That's what we are working on, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we are working on right now with this interoperability topic that I showed on this one slide. Yeah. Right now it's not possible yet, yeah, but I'm pretty certain it will be possible soon. Let me say soon.
Yes. Yes. And the second question was from James. Has ELG worked on multilingual chatbots? And if is the question, has ELG worked on multilingual chatbots? And if so, using which technology?
Yeah, ELG is not developing language technologies as such. So we are not developing our own machine translation or our own chatbot software. We take on board existing technologies, existing chatbot software. So if James, and he's also involved in Humane AI Net, and there are people working on chat and chatbots and discourse and so on. If they have technologies or chatbot frameworks or software that they want to bring and that they want to onboard in ELG, happy to. We do have, I think we have one, let me just go back to this one slide. This one, we have one project working on the Basque speaking smart speaker based on Mycroft AI. So we have, ELG is financing this one project on a chatbot that will be able to speak the Basque language. I think that's the only chatbot language project that we have. Oh yeah, we have Weber Consulting in Vienna, also virtual personal assistant prototype that is also working on chatbot software. Yeah, so but coming back to James' question, multilingual chatbot is not in scope for ELG.
Yes, so we understand now we need SME and startups to use your technologies, right?
Yes. Please do.
So therefore, there are these open calls, which you talked about. Here comes the next question from Bertrand Braunschweig. Thank you. In how many languages is your presentation available? What effort would be needed to have it in all EU languages?
The presentation. So, yeah, we would have to either translate it manually or intellectually, or using MT engines that are specialized on technical language and especially slide language in a way. I could have a chat with André Bourgeat at Charles University. They have a project called ELITA, that's short for European Live Translator, and they work on this topic. They work on automated meeting minuting and presentation translation, and also on speech-to-speech translation. And we've been collaborating with them actually in Metaforum, and they did some experiments automatically translating some of the speeches and presentations with the last Metaforum into some languages. I don't think it's, I'm not certain if it can already translate such a presentation right away without any errors into many other European languages, but I would have to have a chat with them. But if there is a need for this presentation in some other languages, please approach me, and then we can have a chat to see if we can make it happen somehow.
Okay, thank you. And here, Emre Seving, I think here comes to a person who is a CTO of TM Data ICT Solutions from Antwerp, Belgium. This is very exciting initiative. I wonder if there will be a third call in 2021. Question one, for like SMEs I bet it's an SME, for SMEs to enter. And second, speaking from the Dutch-Flemish perspective, because you know Belgium, for us it's obvious that the giant companies in the voice assistant market aren't very successful with speech recognition of local dialects as well as children's speech. The data sets seem very skewed and unbalanced. Do you think European language grid can help with that? If yes, then how?
The answer to the first question is no. Yeah, so there won't be any additional open call. The money is gone, it's spent. Not quite, because the projects also need to write their reports and then they will get the rest of the money. That's the usual mechanism. No, we don't have any additional money. Maybe there will be in the future a follow-up project with additional financial support to third parties, hopefully, because it was very interesting exercise, also lots of admin overhead, of course, but the ideas we generated and project proposals we received, they was excellent, and we only could establish funding for 15 of the projects. Yeah, we would have loved to fund all of them, of course, but that simply wasn't possible. So maybe in the future. Regarding the situation in the Netherlands and in Belgium, we hope that ELG can be a platform to find even the let's say more unknown or more obscure data sets. Maybe there is more than the colleague knows about. Right now, I'm not so sure if we have anything in this space in ELG. But what we will do, definitely, also with the colleagues in Belgium, in the Netherlands, with regard to collecting all resources, even the unknown ones, even the obscure ones, they will all be, hopefully all be found in the European Language Equality Project, and then included in ELG, so that we don't just do the desk research and then throw it away. We will do the desk research and then ingest it into ELG so that it's useful also for others.
Okay, I just have to say it, I'm coming from Cologne, and we even have there an own language called Kölsch. So with the future, you even think not only about the Dutch and the Netherlands people, but also.
Yeah, and Kölsch is to people not from Cologne, it's a weird language, I have to say, with some words that are used nowhere else in Germany, like Fedel, for example, yeah, or Schälesig. So no one would understand this unless you're from Cologne. Maybe we need translators from Germany to Kölsch.
In the future, we also consider thinking about the Kölsch people.
Yeah,
so now it comes, I'm chasing a little bit through here because we do have a lot of questions and 3 minutes ago. So this, I think, is a question by Kai Salmela. Very interesting. Thank you. Is there any particular person or address where someone interested of language can contact ELG? Would ELG be interested about speech recognition standardization?
Yeah, my address is here. So if you want to get in touch with us, the easiest way is to send me an email. Please do if you're interested. And the other question was speech standardization.
Yeah,
it's a big field, and there's lots of work already happening in speech standardization in various standards development organizations. Yeah, so if interested, reach out to me, and then we can see we can join forces somewhere.
Great. So really, the last comes now, and that's Alipio George. Sorry if the name is I say the name wrong. I saw a link to Clarin. Does ELG incorporate the corpora collected by Clarin with C, Clarin, or are these separate repositories?
Yeah, for now they are separate repositories. We will establish the discussion with Clarin soon, if and how we can harvest our metadata in a joint way and bidirectional way.
Okay, so I would say thank you for all your questions, also dear participants. Not every question is answered, I know, but the time is as always short. And Georg told me, our speaker, that you may, if it's really important, you may reach out to Georg and ask him directly over his email. So, and now again to you, Georg. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as everybody knows, I will send you the recording, and you may check it and tell us if you think it can be published. And if yes, you will find it online in the AI for You YouTube channel, as always. Good, then I would like to slowly close the session, and next week they're going to be Pau Pamplona with a different topic, like always, and his topic is how user evaluation changed in times of COVID-19. That's because of the pandemic. We, even as researcher, had to change the way of working in all kind of projects and research. So come back next week would be great. And now again, thank you. Have a nice afternoon and evening, and thank you. And bye-bye, Georg. Bye-bye, everybody. No? Bye-bye.
Bye, Carmen. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.